What's going on out there, YouTube? Happy New Year's and happy holidays. This will probably be the last review that I do before the new year 2015. But I had to do it, and I went and saw it with a friend, and we had been talking about it before, me and Joe also, that we really wanted to see this or either Unbroken. And at long last, I've finally seen Selma. Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm still taken back on just how amazing this was on different levels, different spectrums. Last year, The Butler had came out, and I saw the stars that played in it, and it was just like, it was a feel to it that I was like, wow, this is probably amazing acting, but I was like, I don't think I'm going to be drawn to it immediately. It was something about the presentation for the trailer of Selma and watching everybody march, watching the demeanor and the stature of the person that is playing Martin Luther King, and the way that he looked. And I've seen him in different roles before, and the actor's name is David Oyelowo. He's played in everything from Interstellar to Jack Reacher. Rise of the Planet Apes was most people can really notable. Last King of Scotland, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Now, I think he even played in The Butler. Yeah, he was in The Butler because he was playing one of the Black Panthers. But the thing with this one was, I looked at his demeanor, I looked at the weight of how much weight he actually put into his body and his face, and I was like, wow. Like, and it stuck with me just from the beginning of looking at the trailer. And I mean, without any regard, like, this was amazing. The hype was fulfilled, for me at least. I'll go on just how I normally do this. The music, the score, the sound effects. When you see somebody getting attacked, you see somebody getting mauled, or you see somebody looking very scared or ominous, like, there'll be a point in a break where the music just stops and you hear like the battering, you hear the hitting, and I mean, sound effects are always common with most movies, but there's a drive with this one because there's different pivotal scenes in this movie where you see somebody peacefully marching, or you see somebody going and there's just an injustice that happens to them on such a deep level that it resonates with you just even in the sound. Like, you can't believe that this is really happening. And then there's times where somebody's getting assaulted and there's just like a background music that's actually playing, and it's just a subtle movement that keeps you focus on the shot at hand. And the score for this one was done so well. My friend that went with me to go see the movie, like, she was even saying like, this was something that, like, is just amazing how on point the sound directing was. And I think that what is the guy's name? I think it's Jason Megan. He does a really great job with the theme, the score for this one. There's a song called Glory with Common and with John Legend at the end of the movie that is really awesome. But I mean, just the scoring for it, the music was precise, instinctual to every single scene that came with it, especially when there is times where you see Martin Luther King Jr. like in his depressed moments or in his triumphant moments and his speech moments. There's a difference each time. It's not the same exact theme for every single time. So that took orchestrated score taking the time to really go in, capitalizing every single time. Now, another big thing about this movie is that it's got so many actors in it. I mean, it's got, like I said, David Oyelowo, that plays Martin Luther King in this one, was so precise that if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination, I'd be surprised. He does such an amazing job as Martin Luther King and getting rid of his accent on such a deep level that I was like riveted. There were times I'm looking at him, this is Martin Luther King incarnate. I don't know if he studied every single speech. I don't know if he went in detail of looking at how the stature, it felt like Martin Luther King was brought to my eyes. And I think that there's been certain nods to that with different movies that have come out where they've had Martin Luther King in it. But this one, I was like, oh my gosh, it was just amazing. I'll go down the list, but I'm not going to name everybody off. Tim Roth plays George Wallace, who's the governor of Alabama. And my gosh, like, this dude, you thought he was ruthless in The Incredible Hulk. Like, this time, he's just He's the devil incarnate. Like he represents the evil, the prejudice, the racism that is at that time frame in the 1960s, like Alabama and especially Selma. And so it's crazy to see the dynamics of power that shift between actors such as Tom Wilkinson, who plays the president, and also like different. It's so many different actors in it. Tom Wilkinson pairs off with David Oyelowo so well that I don't even know was historically accurate. It makes me want to go back between the history lines and make sure this relationship between the president and him was like that, or if there was some stiff stuff. I've heard different reviews that said that the relationship between the president and Martin Luther King is not conducive to what the film depicted, but just from the screenplay and how they did it, it was done so well that I'm not going to sit there and think about, all right, was this real or not? Was this factual information or not? It was just acted very well. Like I was looking at some of the things that like when Martin Luther King had brought to the attention at some point that there are people dying out on the streets for just quiet protesting, and yet we have people at that time frame that was going overseas during Vietnam getting killed and doing all these different kind of things, but yeah, there are different things that are happening in America that there's not anyone doing anything about. And the social injustices for African Americans at that time, it was so prevalent that he was like, how can you justify this? How can you get and push in front of me and say, okay, we need to make sure that the poverty rate needs to be like brought back up to a standstill, but yet there are people that cannot vote, in the sense that, okay, if you cannot vote, then you cannot vote for people that are not of prejudiceness, or even have like an ideal between wanting to have other people going into Congress that want to make a difference, you know? And so if you can't vote, you can't do that. It's so many different levels with that, but the acting plays on that so well. I mean, gosh knows. I mean, Alexandro Novella, he's played in Face Off. It's one of my favorite roles, being the brother of Kaz. Martin Sheen, he plays the judge. Cuba Gooding Jr. plays an attorney. Even Giovanni Rebson, he plays Lee White, second hand to the president. He does an amazing job as well. And I mean, there's so many African American actors that do such a great job in this. I mean, Common does a great job as usual. Wendell Pierce, which you know him from Fighting to Taste the Preacher, he was in this one. He was at the front lines. It was really awesome. Niecy Nash does an awesome job as Risha Jean. Man, there's so many different actors. There was one guy that was a standout for me though, Stephen James, who plays John Lewis. Oh, I think that the group was I forget the name, the Sneak. He plays one of the youth that at that time frame didn't represent necessarily what Martin Luther King was doing. He had his own ideals to how can we elevate the African American race in Alabama versus how Martin Luther King has just been showboating in an extent of everywhere else. And so it's really interesting to see. He was a real standout. Like the scenes with him and Martin Luther King for this role, it was just done so well. Like this kid needs to be in more movies. Like he does an amazing job. I had to note him in this one, as well as the person that plays Martin Luther King's, that plays his wife. I think her name is Carmen Ajogo, but she plays Coretta Scott King, and she does an awesome job of the balance between life and destiny. In the sense, for Martin Luther King in this movie, you see the dissections of his ideals. Like you see him knowing right from wrong and putting it in somebody's face and giving them like a stand, but then you see him broken down to his bare bones of just weakness and tiredness, and how does he come back from like being brought down to nothing, like being in your prison cell, talking to his mate, like saying like, what are we supposed to do? What does it do when a man stands alone and stands apart, but yet is struck down in front of his family for fruitless nature in the common sense, but in the grand scheme of things, it's for more. Like, what is, like, he's like, I'm tired, I can't do this, you know? And those subtle moments like that are just acted so well between all the different actors. Like, I cannot talk about it enough. And I'm trying not to personalize this so much, but it really did grip me on a deeper level. Then there were certain actors that were protesters that were of Caucasian descent that also were standouts as well. And I can't bring up every single person. Even Oprah Winfrey, she played Mrs. Cooper. That was one of the first ones that actually tried to consistently go and try to get the ability of being a registered to vote, and kept on like being able to not do certain things. And it's just really awesome stuff. I know I'm rambling, but I have to articulate as best I can, because these acting scenes define the movie, in addition to, like I said, the soundtrack and the theme play and resonate the film on a deeper level as well. So I had to bring up the acting on different levels for different people. But even the story, the way that they did the story from even the beginning, the first set piece, you got Martin Luther King and his wife Coretta talking, and Martin Luther King, and you see a lot about his personality in his first beginning scene. He was saying to her, he's like, it's not right, and I was like, is this a pun? It's like, is he going to something deeper that I missed, you know? And he's getting the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's going in front of everybody. He's saying, he's like, look, I don't want anybody to look at me like I'm some high mighty this and high mighty that. Like, I want us to look simplistic. I want us to look where we are at right now. I don't want it to be this high resonated person. I want to do, you know, it's a subtle way he says it, but from that point on, the story just goes, because you see certain things that are going on and certain injustices that are happening. I mean, I think what shocked me was a scene where something had gotten blown up and some people had gotten killed in a way that it shocks you. But it brings things into perspective, and the screenwriting for that and the way they did the plot were so perfect, because it doesn't go all the way back. Like a lot of movies, they try to play a documentary. They go back, oh, I did the speech. Oh, here's the flashback of when I did the speech and talking about. No, none of that matters. Just the moment of why Selma is so prevalent. Why is there a title, Selma versus Martin Luther King Jr. in this life story during Selma? No, it's the town of Selma, the place of Selma. Why are thousands of people coming together to try to do the impossible, in a sense, you know? And it's applaud worthy. I've never been in a movie, and I'll be honest with y'all, I was in the theater, everybody clapped after the movie, right? But even after that point, people stayed in the theater. Like, the movie, the credits were even rolling, but everybody stayed down. Even the lights had not turned on. Until the black credits came up, like, that was when everybody left. And that shows that, in my opinion, that's the epitome of a standing ovation when you're looking at a play. And I mean, the way that they did the story, I don't see any real faults behind it. Only thing I can say is I don't know the historical background as deeply as how the story depicted it. Because the moments where you see Martin Luther King getting punched in the face randomly is the first time he gets to Selma, and he's going there, he's trying to go to register to vote, somebody punches him in the face, he just walks out, and he's like, damn, he can hit. You know, and it's crazy because there are shocking scenes as well when you're seeing maybe 100 people walking, and you see people around you that are in front of you with sticks that have barbed wire around it, or have mace in their face, or throwing tear gas, or have guns, and they're about to walk into that, and you see it. Like, you actually really see it. I think the Boondocks, they did a funny thing where they tried to go and, I think, reinvent the way that the Selma act was actually done and everything, but like, even that, it failed in comparison to what I really saw on a visual level. And so I have to commend the director for this one. I'm trying to think of the director and what other movies that she's done, but Ave DuVernay, I think she is known for more so like producing and screenplay. I mean, I think she's produced a lot more so than she's actually directed. But shoot, she's gonna get something for this. I can't see her not getting something for this. I mean, she dabbled in iRobot, Collateral, Spider-Man 2. I mean, I think shows like Scandal. But for this, oh my gosh, this is just amazing, y'all. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed this movie, and it was so thought-provoking that it made me look into myself, because I was looking at the way that the character Martin Luther King is presented to me in the way of this movie, and the weight on his shoulders were so heavy when he was looking. There was a point where he really could have won all of it, you know. There was a point in the movie where you could see, like, okay, he's got his goal, he's got there. He went down and sat down on the ground and prayed, and you didn't know he was praying at the time. You found out later, and he just walks back the other way in defeat, basically. And you try to figure out why, and he's looking at everybody, and he's like, look, the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to fall, or even take the chance. Like, my life means nothing in comparison to all of y'all's, basically. And it's so admiring to watch on a cinematic level, that you see all the character flaws. Like, I mean, take for instance David. David was noted as one of the highest kings of the biblical context, like most prestigious, most well-known by God. He was in a sense admired by God based on biblical context, and yet he was an adulterer. He killed, he did amazing, terrible things, but every single time he admitted to it, and there was an honesty and a boldness about it. And the way that the screenplay puts everything in your face about the faults and the triumphs that outweigh any of the faults from Martin Luther King in this one is presented in the same exact way. And that, to me, drug something out of myself, looking at, like, there's times where I'm like, man, I could be studying this, or I could be reading this book, or I could be doing more, but yet I want to sacrifice to do this, or just do this goal. And it just, I don't know, I'm encouraged, I'm uplifted in a sense, even though I saw so many different things and so many different hurts and pains, and it brings back remembrance of stuff that's going on with Ferguson and all the different things that's happened in the past few years. But yet and still, like, this is America. This is our country, you know? We're the only ones that can do anything about it, all of us. I mean, even though I'm African American, like, I'm still a part of America, just like anybody else. And so, even with, like, doing this movie reviews, like, I love what I do, you know? And at the same time, like, I know I want to encourage somebody else to do even better than what I'm doing, you know? It's not just about the prestige in the moment, it's about what's the long term, you know? And so I think for me, it brought up, like, what are my long term things? What's the elevation of what I can do? How can I help other people more, in other words? And I know I'm going overboard, but the story, I guess, hit me so hard that, like, it drove some stuff out. And so I'm personalizing this review in a deeper way. I'm sorry that I'm doing that. But hopefully this resonated with some of y'all. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the movie Selma. If you haven't looked at it yet, definitely go check it out. I give this a 10 out of 10, hands down. This is my last review of 2014. Please leave your comments below if you have anything you want to talk about from this review or from anything else. If you like this, please leave a like. Thank you for all subscribers. Anybody that's going to subscribe after this, thank you for that. But y'all are amazing. I pray that y'all have a blessed New Year's, and look for more stuff to come. This is SCL0320 signing out, encouraged, and Happy New Year.